Hey everybody, Adam Ant here. This is part 2 of my introduction to developers for installing and launching and configuring the Angel Island and Siege servers. I did a video, in my previous video I showed you how to get it off GitHub. And I gave you a brief demo of how to build it and launch it, and your option of whether to use no world files and start from scratch or to use one of the pre-configured worlds, either Angel Island or Siege. And these are recent snapshots. These are July 2024, so the Siege world is completely spawned and populated and built, and the Angel Island world files is the same. So they contain everything that you will see on the shard today, minus the player accounts. Okay, so let's just talk a little bit about what I'm going to demo today. So yesterday we built the shard, we launched it, we looked to see what the world held in it, and whether or not you would want to start with a pre-built world, pre-spawned world, or if you'd want to start over. Today I'm going to touch a little bit on how to set up multiple servers. If you're going to seriously set up a server, you're going to at least want a second server, which would be your test center. And the way you do that is by having a login server. So players will log in to port 2593 like they would expect. That's the standard port for UO. Then your login server gets the login and then passes it off to either, in my case, Angel Island or Siege Perilous or Test Center, and and there you go. Otherwise, you would need to give players, multiple port numbers to try to log in, which is a little bit ugly, a little bit cumbersome. Okay, so we're going to show you that today. And just a reminder, here I'll talk about the names of my shards, but the Angel Island core supports, whatever shard configuration you might be interested in. And obviously, one of those configurations is the login server. Okay. So let's just take a look and see what it looks like. So I use, when just doing simple things, you can use command lines, but I like GitHub Desktop. It's nice. I can see all of my repositories here, and I've cloned them all locally. We've got the server, the Angel Island world files, modified version of classic UO, the client and server map files and classic music, our launcher, our customized version of Razor, and then our Siege world files, custom version of Razor and classic UO. I'll cover those in another video. They basically offer protections from players trying to get around the 3 accounts in the case of Angel Island, or 1 account in the case of Siege Perilous. But that's a little deeper topic. So, and it's also optional. You don't need those if you don't care about such things. Okay, so I've downloaded my server, and that's right here. So here's all of my GitHub repositories downloaded. So what I did was, I copied the server just as is over here to my shard demo folder. So one will be Angel Island, one will be the login server, one will be Siege Perilous, and one will be Test Center. And then I took world files. I took the Siege Perilous world files, which if you look at it, it's just a saves. It's just a snapshot in time of the world. So I grabbed the save files from Siege Perilous repository, and I dropped it in the Siege Perilous folder here in Siege Perilous Test Center. Then I grabbed the Angel Island world files, dropped them here in Angel Island, and don't care about the login server. It wipes the world every time it starts. because it doesn't have to have any items or mobiles or accounts or deco or spawners. It's a minimal, very small world, just meant for logging in and then passing off to the appropriate server. And then I created this little launch all command. It's just a little, let me see, so it just looks like this. I've gone ahead and rebuilt these just to save the time for the video. You don't want to sit through me rebuilding these. Not a big deal, but it's probably 10 or 15 minutes. So this launch all command, it starts Angel Island.exe. Remember, Angel Island is the core. It is the core shard. It's the core server for all of the shards. Okay, so we're going to launch Angel Island exe with these parameters. The first one is use database. We use a little SQL database for username and passwords. That way all shards can understand user logins. So if you were to change your password on one shard, it would be reflected on all shards at a minimum. We also have a firewall in that database so that you can firewall across all shards, things of that nature. It's optional, you don't have to use it, but it's a very low overhead and really quite handy, especially if you're running multiple servers. No patch, that just says don't run the startup patcher. I might touch on it later in this demo. Basically, every time the server starts, it looks to see if there's a patch that should be applied. So I've over the years, I've written hundreds of patches. It just saves you from having to run some command in-game. You know, it might enumerate all of the, a recent one was all of our fire pits and campfires had the wrong light graphic. It was like, you know, east, you know, it was shining a light east and it should be circle 255 or something. So I just threw that in the patcher and said all shards, you know, in the patcher you say what you want to patch. I said all shards, if you have this graphic, change the light to, you know, be circle 255. And that's really the use of the patcher. We're going to say no patch here because these worlds we're going to be using are fully patched already, and if you started with an empty world with nothing, you don't need to patch because there's nothing to do, but it's there for you. Okay, and then the final parameter here is UOAI, which is UO Angel Island, UOLS, which is the login server, UOSP, which is Siege Perilous, and then UOSPTC, so that's our Siege Perilous Test Center. And so each one of our folders are going to contain, you know, this separate shard, this separate server, and that's because each one will have its own save files, its own log files, local account information, things of that nature. Okay, so I'm going to run the command. So just to quickly recap, I downloaded the server. I copied it to 4 different folders over here, no modifications needed. Copied the Siege world files to the Siege servers, copied the Angel Island world file to the Angel Island, and that's it. So let's launch and see what happens. Okay, so here is Angel Island. We'll put him up here. This one is Siege Perilous. Put him here. And this one is Siege Perilous Test Center. And here's our login server. So that's how easy it is. We've just set up 4 different shards, launched them, and they're all up and running and ready to go. So a quick note here, you'll notice our this is our login server. I did this as sort of an attack mitigation strategy. When we launched both Angel Island and Siege, we had, upwards of 300 unique IP addresses connecting, and possibly some other shards were not happy. I mean, I certainly don't really have any evidence to this, but we were getting DOS'd on both of those launches, and so I have alternate IP addresses. I can just hand out a different IP for players to log in on, so I can listen on many different ports. And then I didn't ever publish the port numbers of the individual shards, so somebody attacking the server couldn't DOS the game servers. They could only DOS the login server, and that's why I had the many port numbers there available. Okay, so we've got our login server, Siege Test Center, Angel Island, and Siege Perilous. Let's go ahead and start logging in. This is our launcher. The source code for it is also available, so I'll probably talk about it independently in a separate video, but we're just going to go ahead and log into these different servers. Okay, so you'll see the first thing you'll notice is that when you log in to the server, you actually first hit the login server. So that's what this is. And now the login server presents what you see here, which is the shard list. So we're actually presenting four shards here. So we're going to go to log in to Angel Island, which is up here. So you'll see when we go to log into Angel Island, hang on, we skipped a step here, so we need to create these administrator accounts. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's go ahead and log in. This is a player now logging in. He wants to go to Angel Island, and as you can see, we first hit the login server. That got passed over to the Angel Island game server. And there we are. So on Angel Island, we start in this little demo area. It's got books and different demonstrations of certain features of our shard. Some of our AI is on display here. Okay, so let's go ahead and log into another shard. Alright, so now let's go to Siege Perilous. That should be right here. You'll see we'll hit here first. Then we go to the Siege game server. And here we are. Now we're on Siege. Fully populated, fully spawned, a new guild. Events and quests and creatures, townships, music, everything in world there. Same with Angel Island. All right, let's log in somewhere else. All right, we're going to go to Test Center. And here we are in Test Center. Our real test center, I didn't bother providing the test center world files. They're not really interesting, so I just am using the regular Siege world files. You'll want to change up test center whichever way suits your needs. And then finally, we can actually log in. Only the owner can log into the login server. Players won't see this administrative. It's only visible by the owner. So we want to go to administrative. All right, so you can actually log into the login server. Only the owner can, and it's really limited. There's nothing here. The login server keeps itself wiped, no items or mobiles or anything like that to consume memory or maintenance. It's really kind of rare to log into the login server. I only do it when we're restarting because we have a scheduled restart. Let me see if I have that here so you can see it. So we have a command maintenance shutdown, and I'll usually run it here from the login server first, and then I'll walk around to all the other shards and issue this command, and everything will shut down nicely. The players will be alerted. They'll all get, every minute they'll get another notice that the server is shutting down. Okay, so that's it. It's really easy. It's really a pleasant unboxing experience. You just download the shard, the optional world files. You copy them to the folders. Rename the shards to whatever you like, and you launch them and they run, and that's all pretty much it. I guess maybe I have a few minutes here to talk about the two features. I already talked about the patcher, but one of the things that we put into place, probably early, 2004, maybe back to the beginning of Angel Island, 2005, is we added a cron. I don't know if you're familiar with cron. If you're a Unix guy, you probably know cron. It's basically a pattern matching utility that is for setting timers, for creating events that happen on a timer. And it's very powerful. The pattern matching allows you to be sophisticated times. It's very complete. And so one of the things that RunUO did, and probably most other servers, is that every subsystem had its own timer. Like item decay was in, I don't even remember where it was, but there was no cron system in RunUO. It just items had a timer that clicked every 30 minutes or hour or whatever to delete them. And then you had internal map cleanup, which was a separate system. And then you had murder count decays was another timer, which was on the player mobiles. And so you had 50 of these timers. House decay that was on in base house. So you had 50 of these timers all spread across the system. So one of the first things we did was to create this cron system, a single timer, a task that runs like every minute or every 2 minutes, and then it checks to see if it should be. It looks at the cron specification for that task, be it item decay or house decay or murder count decay, whatever the task is, and then runs the task. And that's actually turned out to be really handy because it gives you a central point of control. You can pause, like if we're running an event and we don't want to be bothered with world saves or item decay cleanup or whatever, we can just pause the entire cron and then resume it. So we'll just take a quick look. First let's look here at the console. You'll actually see, so these are all, just about everything you see here is part of the cron system. So the leaderboard, so the timer ticked for the cron task, and it was determined that the leaderboard should be updated. So it's telling you here, it checked 9 leaderboards, and the cron slice is allocated so much time, and if there's time left over, it'll do another job. So here it went ahead and did player quest announcements, and then it ran out of work, and then a couple of ticks went by here. There's nothing to do, and then we had handle IP cheaters. Those are people that are getting in with multiple IPs, or you're using Tor exit nodes or anonymous IPs. We have a task that runs that looks a little bit more closely at them, and so on. Player quest cleanup. Everything is done here in the cron tasks. So you have a central point of maintenance. It really makes things really kind of clean and nice. So let's, and here they're shutting down, right? We set the maintenance timer for 5 minutes. So I guess I've been talking for 5 minutes. Okay, so let's look for a cron job and see what it looks like. Okay, so this is what a cron task looks like. So you have here, we prison players that come to our shard over a Tor exit node. If you don't know what a Tor exit node is, not really important, but it's pretty much used by hackers when there are IP restrictions in place. They'll try to come in this way. We have mechanisms to determine if that's the case, and so we handle it here. So we just schedule a cron job that runs. This is a cron specification, and when the cron task timer ticks, we go execute this handle IP cheaters job. There's another one here. Here's another job. Auto save. Auto save used to be in the world. For RunUO, it was in the world structure class, and we just put it here in auto save. So you don't need to search the universe for the timers that are controlling everything. They're all here in one place. Okay, so that's it. I just wanted to give you the cron in addition to sort of the multiple servers. They're not hugely related, but they are both things that as an administrator, a developer, you'll want to know that they exist. And that's it. Okay. See you in the next video. I haven't really quite planned what it'll be, but it'll probably be a little bit more detail. Maybe our optional custom classic UO client and our Razor CE. We could talk more in detail about what they do, what they try to accomplish, and how they're implemented. Okay. Have a good day. Bye.